Gano. All right, thought he answered the phone. Said he's busy. Let's ring him again. How can Skype be busy? Don't know. Gano. Can you hear me now? Alrighty, we're looking forward to the audio. Ray, we can see it, but we can't hear you. Moving you over there. All right, Ray, we cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. All right. Let's see see if we got any other sound issues here. So it looks like the sound is on. Wait a minute.
Check. Now, can you hear me?
Here you come.
Yeah, I had to switch microphones. I'm sorry about that, Daniel.
Oh, how dare you? Go to your room. Oh, wait a minute. You're in your room. Ray Gano, welcome to the Edge television broadcast, my brother.
Thank you, brother. Great to be here. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here, and it's going to be a good Saturday evening here.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. Honestly, I thought you would be in a steel encased, Faraday box looking underground bunker, but it looks like you're in a house.
Yeah, we're in a house here. Yeah, not any Faraday cage or anything like that. That's what we used to live down in Panama. We were completely off the grid down there and everything. Now we got the white picket fence.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, if you're off the grid in this country, you're liable to be arrested because they just do not like it. I know several people have tried it, and when they find out you're off the grid, they say, hey, why are you getting off the grid? It's almost like saying, hey, you're in the Matrix. If you get out, get back in the Matrix.
Yep, no, totally agree. They're down where we lived in Panama. We completely off the grid. We were producing about 12.5 kilowatts. We had a great backup generator. We had lots of great water, our own solar powered well. We were doing all kinds of great stuff down there, and living the prepper life, living it up and everything. And interesting thing is, one day God asked me, "Hey, you were willing to give all this up?" And I didn't say yes right away. I had to think about it for several days, and finally I broke down and said, "Yep, I'm willing and ready there, Lord. Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do?" And it's interesting. The one word you just put in my mind is fight. And so I'm back here, fighting the good fight and what I call sharing the hope.
Hey, when you say God talked to you, how do you receive communications with the good Lord?
It's on the CB radio channel 14. No.
Okay.
No.
I was on that channel, but hey.
No, it's just he impresses upon me what I need to do, and it's just at times he little small still voice in your head. Sometimes he pictures. Sometimes but when he talked to me that time, it was definitely a still small voice, and I know it's right because it's in my gut. God tends to talk to me in my gut. And interestingly enough, as soon as I submitted him and say, "Okay, Lord, I'm wherever you want me to go, I'll give it up." The next day, my wife comes up to me and tells me, "Ray, what do you think about us moving back to America?" Now we were staunch expats. We were like, if you were to ask me like 6 months prior or whatever, heck no, man, we're not going back to the United States. And also Trump had nothing to do with it. It was all God leading us back, and but we're back here to fight the good fight, and really just I really feel led to help people. We're seeing a strong demonic war taking place right now, and people just don't know what's going on. And then also it's just everything that's going on in our nation. Like it or not, our economy is not doing the greatest. I mean, it is on an uptick and it is positive. Our dollar is stronger right now, but we still owe, 17 trillion in debt. Unofficially, I forget what was it, the Department of Finance or one of the department managers actually let it slip in one of his speeches that we were actually 70 trillion in debt. And then if you go to Shadow Stats, I forget his name who runs that, he's reporting that we're sitting at about $112 trillion in debt. And so these are numbers that no matter what, whoever's president, whoever's in Congress, whoever's in Senate, if the lead balloon wants to drop, it's going to drop, and no one's going to be able to do anything about it.
Well, Ray, listen, I'm a cowboy, as you can plainly see, because I got a hat. Okay, it's a Stetson hat, so that makes me a cowboy. Now, so to understand this, if the debt was put into cow patties, and each cow patty was stacked on each other, would it reach out there to Planet X?
Probably. Actually, yes. Yeah, it probably would.
Okay, it'd be a smelly thing, and really, I guess the debt stinks anyway. So it kind of hand in hand. You got to talk on the cowboy level so we can understand things. But let me tell you something. With the financial picture isn't so good, but the stock market does appear to be reacting to not having a communist socialist Muslim in the White House. So they are responding positively. A lot of people's 401k has gone up. I see somebody in the live chat got my picture on what looks like maybe a $10 bill. So obviously it should be. But so there are some positive indicators in there. Is a financial collapse, which have been umpteen million books written about, is that the most plausible breakdown of society that you think is more realistic that could happen to America?
I mean, a lot of people are floating stuff around like, the Planet X is going to happen, or we're going to get hit by a meteor, or Yellowstone's going to blow, or EMP attack. And I mean, all these things are plausible. Yeah, they truly are. But the numbers are there, debt-wise, that are really reflecting the same sort of situation as when the Weimar Republic took place back in the early 1900s with Germany. Their debt was incredibly high, and our debt is high, not as bad as they had, but it's getting up there, and we could be seeing some serious situations. And again, with the numbers that high and everything, we're looking at a new real estate bubble right now. Bubbles that we're looking at student loan bubbles right now. We're looking at vehicle bubble taking place. So we're having a lot of bubbles taking place that, we could see a domino effect where if one popped, maybe the others would pop as well, and then it would really mess things up a lot.
Well, the scope and breadth of this program, we've analyzed many end time scenarios. So I'm going to ask the people in the live chat right now, just anybody in the live chat, give me what your favorite doomsday scenario will be, whether it be a Planet X, financial meltdown, zombie attack, Nazis coming up, Bigfoot's coming in, alien. So somebody in the live chat. Okay, we've got some respondents going now. We've got nukes. Somebody like to see nukes in the doomgasm. Chuck would like to see a financial breakdown. Any other end time favorites for those in the live chat? And if you're watching the program and not in the live chat, you need to log in there because, like I said, it's like almost two programs going on here. All right, so Ray, as the people decide what their favorite doomgasm they'd like to see happen, you are obviously the director of Prophesying, the websites and multiple websites, and we have links to all of them. Would your preparedness ethos fit in any of those end time scenarios?
Oh yeah, very much so. I'm best thing I do when I advise people is choose your end time scenario and start prepping towards that direction. Once you're prepping towards that direction, a lot of times your general preps will cover a lot of the other areas. Now, a end time scenario, or a scenario that a lot of people don't even think about, but is very realistic, is the pink slip. How many people are losing their jobs? And then once they lose that job, it takes like a year at least to replace that job. So just think, if you were prepared and you had food in store, water in store, medical supplies in store, and all that other stuff, and you lost your job, you're not going to be really it's going to be hard. But you know what? You're not going to have to worry about buying food or medical supplies, or if you got your water preps and everything. But it's one less distraction, or one less burden that's weighing on your shoulders is, because we're living in a hard time today where people are losing their jobs, and for anything that because again, it's easy to think about EMT and nukes and all this other stuff, and a lot of these are viable. Some of them are crazy, but the one that really can happen is the pink slip. And so, if anything, why aren't you getting food insurance for something like that? Why aren't you preparing for something that realistic? I mean, hey, I've been fired before.
All right. By the way, we've had a number of doomgasm expectations and favorites. It looks like we've got a war between the U.S. and Russia. We have a request for Satan to attack the Christians. Dr. Prepper would like to see a food famine. Does anybody else have any favorite end times? And we have Magoober. He'd like to see some tsunamis. And Jade, I don't know if I can say this on the air. I guess our moderator says she'd like to see a Jade. Wait a minute, Jade. Do you want me to say that? Ray, are you watching the chat?
Yes, I am.
Oh boy. I can say that on the Cowboy. I'm just saying. Okay, Jay says big no. Don't do it. Okay, she said do not say poopgasm on the air. All right. Okay. So we won't. But anyway, we're a little light here, but that's okay. But we're going to talk about the serious subject of being prepared. And what I'm interested in, again tonight, Ray, to sort of focus in on, besides the physical prep, I'd like to know more about the spiritual prep, the psyche of preparedness. How does that enter in to our preparation? Is it something you study? Is it something you pray about? Is it something that just comes to you? How do we interject that part of survival?
Well, what we need to understand is that, one, we are at war spiritually, and then we are kind of at war in the physical as well. There's a lot of things going on that can mess us up, but there's a lot of things that can mess us up spiritually. And that's when we lived in Panama, it was interesting. We were living out in the jungles. Panama is very a lot of the natives, I hate to use that word, but a lot of the native people have a weird religion. It's a many gods, natural, worship trees, animals, their dead relatives, all those things. And there's a lot of witchcraft. There's a lot of black magic. There's a lot of, it's nothing to be kind of walking around the jungles there and see some sort of weird shrine or something, and candles and all that other stuff. And so I say all that because we've had to deal with it ourselves. We've had to deal with what I call the demonic, or the demonic wars taking place. And I honestly believe that where we lived was just a demonic stronghold. And we learned over time how to literally fight and keep our sanity, because so many things were happening. It was weird. We were invaded by rats. We were invaded by poisonous snakes. I had a diesel generator that burnt. I mean, diesel doesn't burn, yet the diesel generator caught fire. We just had, the well was constantly breaking down. All this weird stuff. And it wasn't like just, here and there. At least every other day, something major would take place. And it's like, I know that this is not due to me. I mean, it's completely weird. So we finally talked about it, and both Tracy and I was like, you know what? We've got some weird things on our property. For example, we had this river house, and it was there before we were there. It was before the prior owner was there. But on the side of the river house was all these weird symbols. And Tracy remembered, she was doing a lot of research on Pizzagate. And one day she comes up to me and she goes, Ray, listen, I want you to go, and we need to go check out these symbols on the house, because I think these are the same symbols that we're seeing with Pizzagate. So we go down there, and sure enough, it is. Other things that we've had on our property was we had this gigantic sea turtle. And again, I asked it was carved out of stone. It was easily 15 by 15, 20 by 20. It was gigantic, but it was carved out of rock. And it was on our property. Who knows what that was all about? But previous owner didn't know anything where it came from. It's just always been there. So, and then also there was a lot of witches in the area. One of the other expats told us, Ray, don't you know that in Caldera there's a bunch of witches there and stuff like that? So we've learned a lot about fighting the demonic. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting here, coming back to the United States, people are being oppressed, depressed, influenced and everything, and yet they don't recognize it as a demonic attack because the churches are not talking about it, pastors aren't teaching it, nothing. And so people are just thinking, hey, well, this is just life, I've got to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And it isn't. It's demonic attacks. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that I'm wanting to come back and teach and help and give my experience to and help people.
It's unfortunate they use the word Pizzagate because I'm pretty sure most of us like pizza. And now I feel like if I eat a piece of pizza, I'm either cannibalizing or hurting a child. I mean, I don't even know. You know, maybe they can come up with some kind of other term. Ray, do you like pizza yourself?
Oh, yeah, man. In fact, I don't know if you got Mod's Pizza where you live. I dig Mod's Pizza, man. I'm
just wondering, is frozen pizza part of a good survival plan?
No, but you can buy prepper pizza.
Prepper pizza, wow.
Okay. I am totally serious. You can get prepper pizza where you can get the dough mix, you can get the freeze-dried cheese, you can get the freeze-dried sausage and beef and chicken. You can have mushrooms, you can have tomato sauce. That's powdered tomato sauce. I mean, you can make a pizza and live well in survival food.
Ray, excuse me, I gotta go to the fridge, man. I'm getting a little hungry here. But hey, man, look, the end time is coming. So, if you were to look into the future, how far in the future are we talking about our first Doomgasm event?
Oh my goodness, that could be tomorrow. I mean, look at what this idiot shot the congressman. This is something I've been warning people for a while. Mm-hmm. We are dealing with a bunch of whacked out socialist fascists that are basically projecting what they are onto us.
Well, Ray, actually, Ray, in my don't mean to cut you off, but in my ranting points, I predicted of all the Doomgasm scenarios, it's more likely to be the ultra left progressives that will start a civil war because they are now they went from their rabid foaming at the mouth violent talk to loading up guns and shooting the other side that they don't like. It is more likely. And now there was a response, I believe it might have been today, where in that crappy ass New York theater that's having a play of Donald Trump being stabbed hundreds of times, somebody jumped up on the stage and said, you guys are fomenting hate and it's turning into violence, which they are. So the rhetoric of the angry left has turned. So, but this is the first time that I think that in a major way that the other side has kind of struck back, not with bullets, but with words, with actually the truth. But I think we're going to see, I would call that a beginning skirmish of a larger war that may take place.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I can totally see them starting something, and but I've been warning my readers for a long time about we need to start protecting ourselves. We need to start doing martial arts. We need to start carrying weapons on us all the time. We need to, I don't have my regular knife with me, but that's the knife I normally carry. Okay. I carry another one too.
Well, I kind of like the ones with the serrated edges on the other side of the knife so that when you stick it in and when you pull it out, you can do some ripping. I mean, looks like a smooth. Ray, that's a nice folder. Well, come on, man. That's smooth in and out. You want to tear some stuff on the way out, don't you, bro?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it would, but fast in, fast out, man. That's
okay. Okay, that obviously that's an efficient way that is conducive to more stabbing.
I mean, I don't want to condone violence or anything like that, but I really think that we need to start thinking mentally, being prepared, so that if one of these, jackholes come up to you and start something, you're gonna be able to defend yourself. There is a map out there, and it's the anti-Trump attack map. And what it is this guy has put together all the police reports of people attacking pro-Trump people, and then the anti-Trump people being arrested. And there's over 200 police reports notifying or showing that this attack, but it's called the anti-Trump. Oh gosh, I had it.
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, the anti-Trump. I tell you what. Before the show, I was saying there's a hashtag now that's at Hunt Republicans, and I think it might even say Hunt White Republicans for that matter. I don't know.
But people, I mean, what we need to be, and here I'm holding my brass knuckles.
Oh, there you go. Get somewhere.
But what people need to do is they need to be prepared. Mm-hmm. But not only, I mean, be prepared for some of these people getting in your face, because a lot of these web groups, and you go on some of the Facebook groups and stuff, they are being militant. They're telling, hey, we need to get in these people's face. Yeah. We need to hurt them. We need to. I mean, they are condoning terrorism and violence.
Okay, Ray, let me show you my knife. Okay, let me show you my knife. Okay,
that's cool.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. When, when you're going in and you're coming out.
Oh yeah.
If you're in a battle, this is what you're going to need. Now, that makes your knife look a little weak, man.
Yeah. Well, are you allowed to carry that yet? See, in Texas,
I'm not asking for permission. So if somebody's out there giving permissions to carry this knife, hey.
Yeah. It's better to be tried by a 12 than carried out by 6. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. And besides that, like I said in my opening ranting points, typically we would have, say, knives or guns or whatever, but the other side in a skirmish they'd have tutus and condoms and various Play-Doh. They instead of an escape place packed full of goods to survive, they would go to their safe space. I don't know how long they can survive in there, so it's not going to be much of a battle. So if I was them, I wouldn't even start it. But it is likely that they will start it because they cannot win at the ballot box. They've tried importing millions of illegal immigrants. They've tried altering the elections from the computers by giving the computer management to another company that favors Democrats. They've had dead people voting. I mean, how many ways have they tried to stack the deck to win, and they still can't win? So the only thing they have left is violence.
Exactly. And that's why I've been warning people that we need to start getting our preps in order. We need to start taking our personal security more seriously. We need to start training. I mean, okay, you got guns, knives, brass knuckles. Unless you train, you're basically worthless. And so these are things that what I've been really trying to help people with, and I've been writing articles on this, and where to train, how to train, what's some good weapons, what are some good things to do, what's some good food. I mean, what's all this stuff we need. And I know it's kind of like eating the elephant right now because there's a lot of people kind of freaking out a little bit, but you can do it if you take baby steps and just start slowly working towards all these goals and doing it. So it is possible. And people think, I'm running out of time, or the end of the world's going to happen next week and everything. No, man, don't have that mindset. Maintain positive mindset and just keep moving forward, keep pushing forward. And it's amazing what you can do with just taking baby steps and have baby goals and things. So for what is today? Saturday. So next week, make next week's goal. Okay, I'm going to buy 1 can of Spam, one bag of beans, 1 bag of rice, and a can of Denny Moore beef stew. Make that your small goal. You do it, and it's like, oh wow, I feel good. Okay, let's up the goal now. Let's now buy this, and this. But it's still all these little goals, and as long as you maintain these little goals and stuff, you're good.
Wow, I think we're having an earthquake over here. No, there's not an earthquake we're having over here. We're having, I guess a nuke went off somewhere. Wow. Better get back to the show here. Well, I'll tell you what. So there are some preps, and you're saying taking baby steps a little bit here, a little bit there, and before you know it, you have a collection. And then what happens? You recommend like rotating what you have, or just leaving it there? Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna pump my food company. I love Thrive Food, and I'm a big Thrive Food person. I've tried so many different foods out there and everything. But one of the things that I like about Thrive is that they have these shelves that you can put your food in, and it will automatically rotate your cans, rotate everything. Oh, right. And I mean, they'll rotate your small soup cans all the way up to the number 1 gallon tin, number 10 1-gallon cans. And so that's a great product. It's one of the best products in my book. And I don't have my book here right now, but in my book, Survive the Coming Storm, I talk about this Shelf-Reliant shelf, and I think you can pick them up for about $250. They are totally worth it. One of the best investments that you can get, and each one of those shelves will hold easily at least 400 to 600 cans.
Well,
so that's a lot of food in a small footprint.
Okay, well, let me ask you something. Okay, so you got a left-wing progressive, okay? He's running at you full steam. He's got his tutu on. Now, do you bitch slap him, or do you hit him with one of these?
I hit him with one of those.
I mean, if he's in a tutu.
Or I introduce him to Mr. Glock.
Yeah. So, okay, so he run at you. So you wouldn't bitch slap him?
No.
Like that?
No. Not at all.
Okay. All right. I saw that on Con Air. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, that was a good one.
That one guy with the dress, Nicolas Cage, he's punching everybody, and he gets to that guy in the dress. He goes, oh. And that's the best way to do them. That's the best way to take care of them. All right. We got a question from Dr. Prepper. He wants to know, Ray, who has the best storage food for the dollar?
It's not, and this is a mistake that a lot of people think about. It's not how much for the dollar, because there's a lot of cheap food out there that you can get, but it ain't good. It tastes like cardboard. It's real salty, or you're eating a bunch of sawdust. And what a lot of people think about is they're so willing to go out and buy the latest and greatest AR-15 and the cool guy knives and all this other stuff, but they'll go super cheap on their food. And you need to do that in reverse order. You need to buy the best food that you can get and not worry about money, because like it or not, food is an investment. And you can flip that food anytime you want. I mean, we flipped our food 5 years ago, and that's what paid for us moving to Central America. I was able to flip my food and get 10 grand out of it. Wow. So and that was a definite profit on that one. But when you buy quality food, and again, I tell people food is an investment. So if you buy a good knife versus a cheapy Chinese knife, what are you going to get? If you're going to buy good food versus cheap Chinese food, which is out there, I'm not going to mention something like maybe a Wise Food or anything like that, but it's cheap Chinese crap. So you want to have some solid food, and it will help you in the long run. Well,
yeah, I mean, if you have the Chinese prepper food, a lot of times there's little crunchies in there, which is probably from rats, because the Chinese are always over there, year of the rat. So when they say it's year of the rat, you know that they got rats running in their pepper food, just dropping a load in there. And so those aren't crispy, crunchy protein pills. Those is rat defecation.
Yeah. But the two companies that I highly suggest is August Farms and Thrive Foods. And you can't go wrong with either one of those. All the other companies I have personally tried. They have some okay food, but they're not on the same par as August Farms or Thrive Foods. And again, what you want to understand is that if the crap hits the fan, your motivation is going to be low. You're going to be tired. You're going to be grumpy. You're going to want to give up and everything. And one of the things that you're going to look forward to is a good, solid meal at night that will taste great. And a lot of people think that, okay, I've got 25 cans of wheat, 25 cans of rice, 25 cans of beans, all this other stuff. But, here I'm eating, like this morning, my parents are visiting right now, and so I cooked them, 10 grain pancakes for breakfast, stuffed with freeze-dried blueberries or freeze-dried raspberries, and because they've never eaten survival food, and they're just like chomping on it big time, and my mom's like, this stuff is great. I go, well, can you survive off of that? And she goes, heck yeah. So invest in your food. Don't look at the dollar cost. Look at how well does it taste? How well will it motivate you when you are feeling like giving up? Because food's a huge motivator. And if all you got to come home to look forward to is rice, beans, and maybe some other dead chicken or something like that, then that ain't been very motivating. For me, I've got chocolate chip cookies, I got brownies, I've got you name it, I've got it.
Partay. Hey, so wait a minute. Did you say your parents are watching the show?
No, they're not watching the show right now.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they were.
but they are here. They're visiting us on over the weekend.
Oh, okay. I was going to say you can explain to them that my language might be a little rough because I'm a cowboy and I've been out in the range a long time, and I don't mean Brokeback Mountain either. Okay, I don't go up there. Okay, I don't go to Brokeback. Okay.
Yeah.
But so anyway, yeah, a little rough. But hey, we got to get this stuff out. But so you're saying there's something when you.
Can I answer some questions here? I've seen some chat here.
Sure. Yeah.
Roast pork. Yeah, I'm answering this dude named Roast Pork.
All right, go ahead.
Is Thrive a good brand of long-term food? It is the best. Augustin Farms and Thrive, in my opinion, is the best food that you can get for money can buy. It also much of their food will last 25 years plus. A lot of their dairies will last about 7 years. But a lot of their grains and other staple foods will easily last 25. You maintain the can, even their freeze-dried meats will last a good long time, 15 years. Mm-hmm. So it is good long-term food. But something that we've learned to do is start integrating our survival food into everyday living. And I'm going to buy food anyway, so why don't I throw money at buying food in bulk versus just going down to the grocery store? And by doing that, I mean, we have seen savings. We're saving about $500 to $700 a month from the grocery store because we're using a lot of our survival food to eat every day.
Do you do Walmart or anything like that? Buy bulk foods? Where do you get? I mean,
survival food. I buy bulk. Thrive food. I buy a number 10 can of corn. Mm-hmm. There's 48 servings of corn in that can.
Yeah,
and so that's bulk buying. So
don't they? Yeah, but don't they have large containers of food like at Sam's Club and Costco?
Yeah. They sell Thrive. Costco sells Thrive, and Costco also sells Augustin Farms. Mm-hmm. And Augustin Farms and Thrive both are in Costco and Sam's Club. Mm-hmm. So people can go down there and buy that as well. Okay. Or they can just go to the website and purchase it.
Okay, that question from Peter from Australia says freeze-dried food needs to be rehydrated. What happens if you don't have clean water or a way to cook the food?
Okay, freeze-dried, yes, you do need water, but if you're not storing water, then shame on you. You need to be storing the water also. So that's food, water, and medicine that you need to store up. Because again, if you don't, an easy way to start that off is go down to your hardware store, buy however many people are in your family, buy one plastic 50-gallon trash can per person, fill it up with water, dump some bleach into it, and then run everything through a Berkey filter after that. Mm-hmm. And it'd be 1 gallon per person per day. So a 50-gallon garbage can is 50 days of water at 1 gallon per person per day.
Ray, I've heard people say you should stock cigarettes as a barter item. What do you think about that?
I think it's a good idea, but the negative with them is that cigarettes usually have a lifespan of about 2 years. You can do it if you can stretch it a little more if you keep them in a freezer. Mm-hmm. But in a Teotihuacan scenario situation, Teotihuacan, the end of the world as we know it, situation, your refrigerator or freezer may not be working at that time. But like it or not, I mean, I've seen guys smoke cigarettes that, if a cigarette they found behind the couch and they're jonesing for a cigarette, they'll smoke it. Mm-hmm. So even if they're not fresh or something, I think people will still, it's a good barter item. Mm-hmm. Toilet paper is a great barter item. Bullets are great. 22 is a great barter item. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good solid barter items. Knives, common tools and things are good barter items. Something that I'm helping another ministry possibly develop right now is what it's called a giveaway bucket. And what I've got in there is food. I've got emergency blankets and whistles and all this other survival gear in the 5-gallon bucket. I also have like a waterproof Bible and everything. And but that's something else that we could use as a barter item, or if we care about people, being able to give that to somebody instead of breaking into your own preps and digging into your own food and things. So, but there's a go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say roast pork in the live chat says tampons make a good fire starter. Is that something you use?
I've never tried tampons, to be honest. I've used dryer lint mixed with Vaseline. And in fact, a ferrium rod, or I mean, ferrium rod or the Swiss fire steel, great product. I mean, and they're called ferrium rods or Swiss fire steel. 2,300 degree sparks, and if you have some dryer lint, it'll start a fire just by dryer lint alone. But I like putting the coating of a little bit of Vaseline on dryer lint, and just keep it in a little jar. And that's your fire starter. With the Vaseline and the dryer lint, that thing will easily burn for about 5 minutes, and that'll get you a fire going. And I can catch fire on the first strike.
Wow! And if someone doesn't have matches, what's the best way to start a fire out in the forest?
Again, ferrium rod. I love ferrium. I have a ferrium rod on my key ring. I keep one in my glove compartment. And then also another thing to do, go down and buy a 12-pack or 24-pack of Bic lighters for $20. Get them on Amazon, and just throw Bic lighters everywhere. I mean, a lot of people, I need to use the bow and Pendle method, or I mean, yeah, if you want to kill yourself and everything, I'm all about making things easy, and why I don't care about. I mean, can I do it? Yes, I can do all those things, but it's a pain in the rear where it's just a simple Bic lighter, man, and I've got fire. If
a liberal progressive was in the forest, what do you think the expectation of survival would be for that fool?
Not very long. They'd be deer chow or bear chow pretty quickly.
Listen, every prepper that I've had on the show, I asked this question. So, Ray, I'm going to have to ask it then. All right, lights go out, grid down. Some hungry-looking goober comes up to your house. Maybe you got a couple kids. You going to share your goods?
Well, that's why I suggest creating a bucket or something so that you do have something to give away to somebody who you feel led to give something.
Okay,
this is where God comes in.
Okay, that'd be one guy. What about the horde coming down the road?
Then that's when they meet Mr. Glock.
So you would protect your
I'd protect my family in a heartbeat. No problem. Yeah.
Okay. Is that biblical?
Yes, heaven's sakes, yes. And, it talks in Timothy, and I forget the exact verse. I can bring it up if you wish. In fact, yes, let me do so that I do get it correct. In Timothy, let's see here, talks about the infidel. Give me 5 seconds. 1 Timothy 5:8. But if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than the infidel. And it says provide for his own. People all say, oh, well, you're talking food. No, providing is providing. That's health, welfare, food, you name it. And it's our job as the head of household, of the men and everything, our family, to provide. And if we have to, we lay our lives down for our family. And so I have no problem with it. But there is biblical precedence for defending and protecting the family over and over and over again in Scripture.
Yeah, in my Facebook post of the upcoming tonight's show, I use that a paraphrase quote, but it basically says, "Go to now, sluggard, behold the ant, how he prepares in the summertime." Basically, it's saying prepare. In another place it says, when you've done all, stand. When you look at that done all, it kind of tells me that you've done all the preparation you can, then you need to take a stand.
Yep. That's Ephesians 6:13, and the other one was found in Proverbs. These are all verses that I love as well.
So is the Bible referring to those that see the clouds red and lowering and do not prepare as sluggards?
Oh, heavens, yes. I mean, I in 1 Peter 3:15, it says, always be ready to share the hope in meekness and fear. Always means always. That means in bad times, be ready to share the hope. In good times, be ready to share the hope. And the only way that you can share the hope is if you have been prepared yourself and you don't have all these distractions distracting you. So if we're in a poo hit the fan situation, then and you don't have food or anything like this, you're going to have the woes of the world weighing down on your shoulders. Whereas if you have prepared properly and everything, you're going to be always ready to share the hope. So having food, having meds, having water, having all these preps on hand and everything, you won't have these distractions bothering you or bringing you down. You'll be able to focus on what's important and then be able to share the hope. But that's a mandate, and a lot of Christians don't understand that. That we as Christians, we have not massive, but a lot of biblical mandates to prep. I mean, and then also be able to share the hope. Just look at Joseph. I mean, Joseph is a great example. Noah's the original Doomsday prepper. There's all kinds of great examples of where people were prepared, and because they were prepared, they were able to do God's work.
Somebody asked
Doug White, I dig that verse. It's Ezekiel 38:7, good one.
Go ahead and read that.
It's Ezekiel 38:7. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and for all the company, that they are assembled unto thee, and be thou on guard unto them. Right there. Great verse. Thank you, Doug.
So there is a biblical mandate. Okay. And kind of a tongue-in-cheek, somebody says, what happens when Negan shows up at your compound? I think Negan is the fictional character from the zombie.
Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Walking
Dead. I mean, it's possible with the diseases out there, and say nuclear contamination, the GMOs, something organic is going to morph into something that's pretty evil. Besides that, we have government scientists trying to create human hybrids.
Well, I want to kind of go back to the Negan question. Another thing is that what you need to do is you need to start preparing your community and live in an area where possibly you have your neighbors and so forth, that you guys can work together. Start building those bonds and building that trust now, so that when the crap does hit the fan, you guys can all work together, because you're going to need to sleep. And if you're pulling guard all the time, you're going to be wearing down pretty fast. So it's important to have friends or allies, actually, and be all of you guys working together. This is why I'm a big fan of, because we used to live out in the country and we were targets. And if you live in the dead city, like in the middle of Houston or Dallas or San Antonio or something, it's going to be turf wars left and right. But I think the suburbs are excellent. Good 30, 40, 50 miles out is a good area, and you're going to be able to group up with others who are like-minded and have a security down and everything. So when the Nagans do come along, you have a force to be reckoned with.
So do you yourself live in a group situation, or are you near one, or are you going to go to
I live in a community here, and I'm working on building these relationships. I'm working on building allies. And that's my plan, is finding out who I can trust, and then who I need to basically mark to terminate.
Jade, our moderator, asked this question: how do you get dried beans to get soft when they're old? It's virtually impossible.
What you can do with dried beans is soak them in a pot overnight. They don't need heat. Just soak them in a pot overnight, and if it takes 1 day or 2 days, they'll still eventually soften up. You can do the same thing with wheat, barley, rice, any grain or legume, you can just soak overnight. And in fact, if you have a cast iron pot, leave it outside in the sun, and the sun's heat will also help soften things up quickly.
All right. How much in prep time do you have? I mean, how much in goods can you survive with your present stash?
That's something I just wouldn't really talk about right now.
You can't answer that?
No, that's a OPSEC question.
Okay. By the way, Ray, where do you live in case it breaks down? We need to come over.
Dallas, Texas.
Okay, and the address?
Huh?
The address?
7734. Go to hell, Texas.
Wait a minute. I had a guest on. I had a guest on talk about prepping, and I asked this kind of similar question. And I was trying to triangulate, because he was telling me what cities, how big the cities that he was near, how far to Walmart in time. So I was trying to triangulate his position so we could all the Edge viewers could come over there. All right, listen, Ray, we're at the top of the broadcast. We take a 5-minute break here. Talk about your websites and what people can get there.
Go to RayGano.com. Ask RayGano.com, RayGano.com, or you can just Google Ray Gano. But on there, I have a lot of articles and information that will really help people, not only in the spiritual. I'm running a great series on the demonics right now, because so many people have been asking help for that. And then also you can scroll down my page, and I have a whole plethora of survival articles that are realistic. I'm someone who promotes realistic prepping for real people. I don't believe in this John Wayne stuff, or I don't believe in this I Am Legend junk, or Mad Max junk. This is realistic stuff that we need to start thinking about, and start dumping all this stupid cool guy gear junk, and let's get real with our preps, so that when something seriously does hit, like the pink slip, you will be able to survive. Your family will be able to survive and things. So I've got that. I got my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Ray Gano. And then I'm also doing a Patreon channel now, where for $1 a month, you can start getting some of my training and everything. I'm making special videos, writing special articles. In fact, I just posted a video on easy physical fitness, and then I'm getting ready to start posting articles on creating realistic first aid kits, realistic bug out bags, a realistic get home bag from work. These are a lot of things that I'm going to start, working on. And then also, physical training, martial art training and things, so that when things like this does happen, you are ready. So, RayGano.com, or Patreon.com/RayGano, or YouTube.com/RayGano, or Facebook.com/RayGano. I'm easy to find.
Okay. All right. Just stay on the line. You don't have to hang out in front of the camera. We're going to take you out of the camera for 5 minutes. We'll be right back with you. All right. All right, everybody. You're watching and or listening to the Ed's Television broadcast. On our Newsmaker line tonight is Ray Gano. And if you missed any of this exciting broadcast, it will begin to replay in our main player. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. We'll be right back in just a minute, and then we'll have it will replay after the show, and then we'll put it up on our YouTube channel and our TuneIn radio programming broadcast. So here we go. And let's get back to our Newsmaker line. Welcome back with us, Ray Gano. Ray, welcome back.
Hey, thank you much there. Daniel.
All right.
Glad to be back.
Yeah.
Good first hour. A lot of stuff covered there. We've got a question here. Old Hillbilly was asking about what happens if there's a rapture and everything. Why should I prep anyways? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of that's a sluggard answer. That's a cop-out answer. You need to start thinking about, what can we do today? Did God tell you to be a cop-out, or did he say always be ready to share the hope? And if you're worried about the rapture and everything too, then how many people can you minister to after the rapture? I mean, everybody has family member or friends that know that you prep. And if they know that you prep and the rapture takes place, don't you think that they might come see you first and be able to use what you can do is leave literature behind. You can leave Bibles behind and everything, so that you can, if when the rapture takes place, then be able to share the hope even to them post-rapture. And so it's important that we prep no matter what. But this why should I do this, when the rapture's come along? That's a cop-out. That's being lazy. That's being a cop-out. And there's people out there that believe and think that and everything, but it's a pity on them.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned the rapture. In the Christian realm, there are those that believe there's a pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, and then there's others that believe 2 raptures, and those that don't believe in any rapture. So, of those 4, would you like to go ahead and upset a third of the audience and say which one do you believe?
I'm pan-trib, actually. I've been battling the rapture idea for 20 years now, and to me, it's a non-issue, because it's an issue that's future, and no matter what, some of us may be wrong. So pre, mid, post, pre-rap, to me, it doesn't matter. What I need to focus on is the here and now, and always being ready to share the hope, instead of some future event that I really cannot, speculate on. I mean, I can speculate. I've got my little theories, but you know what? They don't amount to a hill of beans. Yeah.
Hey, Ray, you mentioned one of your websites, or I think like the Patreon. Is there a meaning to that word?
Patron. You're a patron. You're a patron of what it is instead of advertising dollars, me making money off of advertising dollars, people come in and actually pay me for my content. And so I earn $1 a month, and I have different programs and everything, but I set everything right now for $1 a month. So I'm putting up specialized videos and putting up specialized articles and teaching people to be what I call a servant warrior. That's a spiritual warrior and physical warrior, as well as teaching preparedness and things to just make life easier and life better.
And as we were leaving the first hour, Ray, you mentioned that you help people with demonic issues. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I do.
What's going on there?
What I do is I've been writing a lot, and you can go to RayGano.com and you'll read a lot of my demonic articles. And people have questions about the demonic and everything. A lot of times, people are being they're being oppressed, depressed, and influenced, and they don't even know it. Because, again, pastors aren't teaching this. Nobody knows what's going on. And they just kind of strike it up to everyday life and just a real bad stroke of bad luck. Whereas probably a good 90% of our trials, tribulations, and sins that we fall into is demonically influenced in one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And what people don't understand is that there is a way to be, there's a way to fight this. There's a way to battle against this, and the Bible's very clear about it. I've even got articles on my website to how to fight it, how to, what to do when you come under demonic oppression, depression, influence, and so. I'm someone who does not believe that a Christian, born-again Christian, can be possessed. Because when you are born-again Christian, you are possessed by the Lord. You are His. There is no coming out of His hand. There is no leaving the Lord or anything like that. Once you become one of His, you're His. So,
Russ Dizdar says that there's going to be a time when there's something called a Black Awakening, and I think it's sort of a trigger for the mass demonic hordes out there to take over people and attack. So, in an end time scenario, is there going to be a visual type of experiential demonic attacks, say like cannibalism or,
we're seeing it right now. We're seeing it right now, Daniel. We're seeing people who are literally possessed, running around the streets naked, doing stuff that is not humanly impossible, but is supernaturally. You see people with supernatural strength. People, I saw this one video where this guy just ran naked into the back of a window, crawled out of it, jumped on some guy's car, and then this car took off and then threw his body off, and he went spinning out all over the place. Got up and ran all over the place again. This is demonic, possession here and things. Mm-hmm. And so we're seeing the demonic wars take place right now. Mm-hmm. We are truly living in the days of Noah, mm-hmm. and we are seeing the demonic wars take. It's amazing. I'm producing a DVD right now on the demonics, and there's this insane video. In fact, you can go to one of my YouTube videos has it. But there's this woman sitting in a subway car, and she becomes possessed right there in front of your eyes, and she just starts wigging out. Her face changes, and she just starts beating on this guy right next to her for no good reason. Another video that I show on my YouTube channel is this little boy. He's probably 8 years old, and his parents start mucking with his video game, and all of a sudden this kid just goes wacko. But what's interesting is he's using words, how dare you touch my game, thou fool, and he's speaking in a voice that is not a kid, and it's a trip, and the kid is possessed. Mm-hmm. And so we're seeing a very high rise of demonic activity, especially in possession and possession being to the person who does not know the Lord, but also oppression, depression, and influence.
Well, isn't that one aspect of prepping and doomgasm scenario in general? Most of the preppers that I've had on the program, they are not talking about crazed, demonically possessed people being unleashed, but it does seem that they will, if they're even borderline schizophrenic or demon possessed, whatever that is, it's full on in a doomgasm, a grid off grid, grid down scenario. And so, will bullets stop them?
Well, what?
Bullets, the conventional methods to stop angry hordes of freaks running, attacking people won't work, right?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question, Daniel. And the reason, I am someone who believes, I do a lot of knife training. I also do sword training. And I am someone who questions that also. If someone is demon possessed, will standard bullets stop them? Now, if you have massive hollow points and you can fill them full of holes pretty quickly, then you're good to go. But if a knife, you cut some major arteries, you cut some major muscle structures in the arms, in the legs, across the neck or something, like it or not, that body is going to be taken out of commission. And so I'm a big believer in blades. And in fact, I wrote a book on it. You can get it on Amazon. It's called The Survive the Coming Storm, Weaponize When the Gun is Not the Answer. And I really promote blades, knives, swords, machetes, axes, things like that will do serious bodily damage and also prevent someone from getting back up and coming after you. Where, like it or not, and you've seen the YouTube videos as all, cop shoots this one, these people, fill them full of holes, but they're not allowed to use hollow points or anything. So they got to use full metal jackets, and those are just going to fly right through. That doesn't have any stopping power or anything like that. Whereas a blade, a knife blade, like this'll do some damage. I do a, it's
all right. Yeah.
That's
we're getting somewhere now.
They're done. They're out of the fight. So because you've damaged some major muscles here, and if you do I teach on one of my videos a move. It's a down, up, cross, stab, and that move. If you just practice that move over and over again, if you're ever attacked and you need to draw your knife, your body will automatically go into that mode. You do that, and you're taking that person out. They are not getting back up. They're not going to be able to use their muscles. Their guts are going to be spilling out. And yeah, with your nice Rambo Bowie, you're going to do some damage.
Right. I certainly intend to. By the way, I have your book, Weaponize When a Gun Isn't the Answer. Where can I get that book?
You get it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon, and then it's in hardback and also on Kindle. So, but I wrote that because in Central America, we weren't able to have guns. And so I had to learn and start thinking outside the box. How am I going to protect myself against crazies that I might, and you meet up with crazies down there. So how do you deal with it? But it's being mentally prepared, physically prepared, and trained to act when something happens.
And really, that takes some mental a preparation there. How because we were talking about we're trained to be nice and nonviolent, and just a part of the system, and pay our taxes, take out our garbage. This is the things that we're trained to do. But it seems like almost to switch into a survival mode, or as you put it, a warrior mode. How is that something that is because you're training, you're always ready for, or is it a mental thing that you have to adjust to? Can you turn it on when necessary? What's your recommendation on that end of it?
What I do is at home I'm in what's called white mode. You have different categories or threat levels. At home, in my home, I'm in white mode. I'm at peace. The moment I step out of the door, I go into yellow mode. And I never leave the house with at least multiple weapons on. So I always got weapons on. And then I'm situationally aware and keen to my surroundings all the time. And so say I go to Walmart and everything. A lot of people will walk right next to the cars and stuff. I walk right down the middle of the drive so that I can see everything that's going on. I pay attention to ambush points and all kinds of things, because once I'm in a situation like that, I'm in orange mode. And then red mode is when you've got a bad guy that you need to deal with. But it's training. You mentally train, and then you constantly run scenarios in your head. And that's what I do all the time. I'm walking down the road or down the parking lot at Walmart. I will train and say, okay, there's a bad guy behind this van right now ready to jump out at me. What am I going to do? Wow. And I play a scenario in my head. So what happens is your brain will either fight, flight, or flee. And if you have not trained your brain to run a little program, the fight program, it's going to fall back onto the flee program or the freeze program. And so by running scenarios in your head, you're creating little programs that your brain can latch onto and will automatically play out and then do. And it's amazing what will happen when you are in a high stress situation. I was in special operations, trained to brag, did all this other junk, and they train you to. There's a time when your body is doing an adrenaline dump, and time almost slows down for you. And I forget the scientific term for this, but if you've learned and been trained to act in this slow motion time frame, it's amazing how much that you can do. And so it's learning how to react, but you've got to train your brain to do this. Otherwise, you're going to freeze or you're going to flee. And if you freeze, what is your family going to do? They're going to die. If you flee, what are you going to do? Your family's going to die. So by training your brain, at least, you're going to have options that your brain can then fall back on and be ready.
These practice scenarios, do you do them on a daily basis?
Oh yeah, I do them all the time.
When you go,
it's second nature.
All right, so you go out to eat and you're going to have a big old steak, but is it being run because you're thinking, hey, that guy over there in that next table might be ready, to strike?
No, I mean it's when you start living a preparedness lifestyle, it becomes habit. And it's funny. My wife thinks the same way. We've been living this lifestyle for so long. Really? My wife will pick up on a bad guy, and so we work as a team, and we always know where the exits are. I'm always looking for exits. I'm always looking for poles or something. Some crazy shooter comes in. How am I going to take cover? We're always and we talk about this a lot, my wife and I. So that it's now become second nature. So I know she knows where all the exits are, and she knows all these things, and so we work as a good team together, and we're able now to enjoy the steak because it has become a habit, but it does take time.
I went out to eat at a place called Cheddar's the other day, and we went around, wiggled through the restaurant, and came to sort of down a little hallway that kind of ended at a brick. It's almost like a little tunnel. A little walkway that ended with like a wall. When you go out to eat in that situation or other places, do you analyze that? Wait a minute, that's like you're stuck in that corner there. There's no easy way out. Do you say, no, man, we want to sit over there? And do you prep for the escape, or do you go wherever they say and then plan your escape versus around your surroundings?
If I'm allowed to choose my seating, I will usually choose something where I can see the main door coming in, and then also be near an exit. So, and it's just, but if I'm not able to choose my seating, a lot of times, you tip the guy $5 in a nice restaurant and say, dude, I want to sit over there. He'll make it happen. So, you can choose to allow situations dictate to you, or you can do as much as you can to dictate the situations for yourself.
Interesting.
I choose to dictate to myself and make things happen.
That's interesting. Just recently, when London was attacked, the police commissioner, whoever, gave the advice or command to run, hide, and report. That sounds like fleeing, like you just described. Would you say that was a wrong course of action? That because it was terrorism, and it seems that if we know terrorism is coming to this country, so wouldn't just this prepper attitude in general save a person's life, even more so with your plan, rather than, say, trying to run away from an event?
Well, it's called tactical retreat. I'm all in favor of running if it'll save your life. But you do it in a smart way. You don't do it with the herd. He was promoting herd mentality. If you run with the herd, you're going to die. And so what you need to do is you need to be the individual, and you and your spouse or you or your teammate or whoever was with you work together and escape and evade the situation. And if you run into a bad guy, be ready to fight. But also, if you are in a situation where you have to fight for your spouse or something, or your family, and it's either they get to run and you don't, then you stand up and go fight the bad guy. You do what you need to do so that your family survives, you survive, and then possibly other people survive. And so it's a situation dictate answer. I mean, it's hard to answer that, but the situation will dictate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's an Islamic terrorism attack and there's a transvestite in the restaurant, I'll say, hey, man, there's a transvestite over there. Go get him. Hey, hey, why not? All right. Hey, we got this question here from Peter from Australia. Do you know how to make your own ammo in case you run out?
Again, that's another situation that I actually talk about in my book when the gun is not an answer, because sooner or later you will run out of ammo. So when you do run out of ammo, how are you going to fight? How are you going to take things on? I've got multiple alternative weapons that I use and train with. Mm-hmm. And so it's you can reload and everything like that, but even then, in a Teotihuacan situation, how are you going to get black powder or gunpowder or whatever? How are you going to get lead? How are you going to get brass? All these things, unless you plan for it and things. But sooner or later, you will run out. If it's going to take 1 year, 2 years, 20 years, you will run out. Mm-hmm. And what you need to do is cross train with multiple weapons so that you don't constantly depend on the gun. Because like it or not, too, there are situations where the gun is not the answer. You need to be tactically quiet. You need to be stealth and everything. You go popping off your gun and everything. You've given your stealth away, and people now know where you are. Whereas if you know how to use the knife, you know how to use the sword, the machete, some of these other more silent tools. I'm a big fan of a compound bow and crossbow, too. These are things that you can use that are silent and deadly.
Well, there's one thing that automatically works in our favor, Ray, and that is, say, in a place where there's a lot of people and an event happens, that by and large, the leftist progressives, not only are they usually grossly ugly, but they're also they're almost always, the butch-looking ones are always overweight and out of shape. So you got to count on them being the slow guys. So right there, that's kind of already working in our favor, because those on the right say, not only are we better looking, okay, but we're also better prepared, and we're usually better shape. So they're going to have that whole crowd. They're going to get them first.
They're zombie fodder, basically. Mm-hmm. So, I don't care about those people. I care about me, my family, and my allies. Mm-hmm. And so that's who I care about. These other people who have chosen not to prepare, especially since I've been out here all this time writing and putting out books and videos and stuff. And if some of my readers do not want to prepare and that they think that they can show up on my doorstep, hey Ray, I'm one of your readers and everything. Can you help me? Whoa. It's like, dude, didn't you pay attention? No, meet Mr. Glock. Get the heck out.
Wow, Ray, settle down, man. Are you kidding? Okay, all right. I guess so. But
that's
even if they bought a book from you.
Pardon?
Even if they bought a book from you, right? That's not going to give them ends into your compound.
That's not an end into my compound. What they needed to do is not be the sluggard and do what's right by their family. Otherwise, they're worse than the infidel.
Okay, good. You got there. Hey, I got another question come in. I want to make sure we get to it. Get back. Where is the best place to bug out or to be in the event of a doomgasm?
I'm someone who does not believe in bug out situation. If you're going to bug out, then do it like what I did and move to Central America. Bug the heck out. Mm-hmm. I had the gonads to do that, and we lived that life for 4 years and everything. God's called us back to fight. But if you're going to bug out, to do it right, you've got to have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to maintain your current property and in a proper bug out situation. 9 times out of 10, if people wanting to bug out and everything, one, do you know where you're going to? Do you have plans? Do you have caches? Sword supplies? Do you have security in mind? Do you have all these other things in mind? 9 times out of 10, people don't. And this is Hollywood stuff. This is Hollywood propaganda. Mm-hmm. Your best bet is bugging in and fortifying and hardening your security here.
Mm-hmm. The other question on that, if one were to establish a permanent location, what is the best place to be geographically in the country?
I like Texas.
A lot of guns in Texas.
There's a lot of good places. A lot of people look at Montana or anything where it has a lot of snowfall. You are putting a lot of odds against you. If there's a lot of heat, then you're putting a lot of odds against you. if you can be in a somewhat temperate climate where it has spring, summer, fall, winter, and the winters are pretty mild and the summers are pretty mild, then that's a pretty good place to go. So somewhere probably mid-U.S., the Carolinas and so forth, just kind of do a big belt or a band across the U.S. That's kind of the same climate area. Someplace like that is where you want to do. Now, the problem is a lot of those places have already got property and people, and because they're temperate climates, people want to be in temperate climates. So, that's why I say the best thing to do is just bug in, deal with what you've got now, and make it better. Make it,
What about the Ozarks?
I think the Ozarks are great. That's a great place. But again, almost no matter what, there's all the properties bought up and everything. Now, if you're a good old boy and you've got property there, or the Ozarks or something like that, then yeah, that's all in your favor. That's a good idea. But I live in Texas, and everything's going to take me a while to get to the Ozarks.
Is Texas temperate? Seems like that's a hot place.
In the piney woods, it's a nice temperate area. So,
question: do you have an underground bunker?
No, I don't. But I would love to have one.
Would you like to have one?
Heck yeah. I'd love to have one.
Good for you. You mentioned in the first, I thought you mentioned the first hour. If not, I'm mentioning it right now. It says, such as the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man comes. In the days of Noah, there were giants. Ray, do you foresee sometime return of the giants?
We may see a return of the giants, but I definitely believe that we will see a return of the fallen angels, and seeing that their presence, their power, their influence be a lot stronger than it is, 50 years ago. And the whole reason is I'm seeing a growth in evil, and evil promotes and produces evil. And so I see, and we're seeing it. We're seeing the demonic grow. We're seeing these things grow. It's, look at how many TV shows deal with the occult being favorable to the occult. I mean, I don't know if you've looked at kids' cartoons. I mean, 9 out of 10 kids' cartoon have some occultic theme in one way or another. So the stage is set. It's ready. And so the giants are not. I mean, the evil is there. Just look at, you look at these Antifa people and everything, they're holding up signs, Hail Satan. And so it's there already.
The New York theater that has the play of, they call it Julius Caesar, but it's clearly stabbing Donald Trump, the president of the United States. We remember the scripture, of course, says in the end times they'll call good evil and evil good. And I think it also says they think they'll do God a favor if they kill you. Now, I noticed that with the Kathy Griffin thing of walking around with the cut off head of Donald Trump in the dismemberment murder situation, the glorification of evil and murder. I wonder, when they take artistic license, they never seem to have, say, Mohammed's head. You won't see the New York theater having a play of Julius Caesar where the main character gets stabbed is Mohammed, but they wouldn't mind to have, say, probably a Jesus. So I don't see where they're saying that's artistic license, because really it's not artistic license. It's telling people subliminally those people on the right are worthy to be killed, because if it was, if say, hey, we're just pushing the envelope, well, they never push the envelope with Muhammad, do they?
No, they don't, because Muhammad's on the same side. He's the Islam, and those who practice Islam is a cancer, plain and simple. And I'm all in favor of eradicating the cancer. That sounds like hate and everything like that, but like it or not, that's what it is. And when you start doing your research and doing your reading on the Nephilim, on the giants, on all that, Allah is just one of the head angels, and he's got his crew working for him. And so he's an enemy of God. And we're called to not, a lot of people say, oh, turn the other cheek and all this other junk. Yeah, we turn the other cheek to our personal enemies. Our personal enemies is that idiot down who's in the cubicle trying to get your job, or that guy driving and being a jerk, or whatever. But there's enemies of God, and nowhere in Scripture are we told to love the enemies of God. And Islam is an enemy of God, like it or not. And so we need to stand and fight against the enemies of God.
I always tell people this way when they say, well, Jesus was a man of peace, and he said, we should love our enemies and things like that. They take that as the explanation of not fighting back. But I always say, hey, if we didn't fight back in World War II, we would be saying Heil Hitler now. And in fact, I always say this too as well, the original Minutemen were people that were in church singing and praying, and then the preacher would say, now you got a minute to go outside, load your musket, and get ready to kill the British. The Christians of today have forgotten that, and they think that, and that's why we have such a rampant evil, because they said, well, God's got it all under control. All we got to do is have a bean supper. And like you said earlier, your churches aren't going to say, and why is it churches don't have a plan for survival? I don't get that. Nothing.
Yeah. Again, having a plan for survival is something bad. Having bad things in church talked about is not good for the offering plate. Today's churches want butts and seats and have a lot of people in there with sugar-coated messages on how they can, have your best life now and purpose-driven life and all this other garbage. And then,
Well, not only do they, some of them want butts and seats, but some of them churches just want butts. What else do you think we ought to have in our cache of survival goods, Ray? Give us some more tips.
I mean, anything that you use every day. A good idea is kind of take the time and go out and buy like a notebook. And for one whole week, start tracking what you do, what you buy, what clothes do you wear, what soaps do you use, how many times do you take a shower, or how many times did you brush your teeth, what toothpaste do you use, and start making notes and everything so you can kind of track your own life and see what's going on, and then that will give you an answer on what you're going to buy. Another great thing is if you don't want to do all that, save all your receipts for a couple weeks and then look over your grocery receipts, your shopping receipts and everything. And again, look at the items that you keep buying over and over again, and that tells you what you need to prepare.
Okay. And so, but a lot of the survival goods always seem to portray a happy little scenario of a family sitting around eating survival goods while the nukes are falling. That's really not how it's going to be, is it, Ray? No,
it's not. What you want to do is, no matter what, you're trying to put your best odds in your favor. That is what survival is all about, putting as many odds in your favor so that you can get through the coming storm and see the other side. Because once you're on the other side, there's going to be a lot of people hurting and everything, and then we are going to be able to truly share the hope with those. Because Great Depression, the Spanish flu, all these catastrophes and everything, Rita, Katrina. I mean, people were open to hearing the gospel and being open to help and all this. And that's what we need. Our goal is to make it through the storm. Build our ark now so that we make it through the storm so we can share the hope once we get on the other side.
MR2U2 of the live chat says, how long should one prep for? 6 months, year, 2 years?
How long do you want your family to live?
Whoa.
So, what you do, it's a lifestyle. And it isn't I'm just going to go out and buy 2 years worth of food. It's something that, because even in say you go out and buy 2 years worth of food, sooner or later your 2 years worth of food is going to run out. What are you going to do then? You need to learn to grow your own, raise your own, learn how to hunt, how to fish, how to do a lot of these things that our great grandparents used to do every day and just not even shake a stick at it. So it's learning to do all those things and not just rely on, I got 2 years worth of food. You need to be living the lifestyle. If you're going to make it, you got to live the lifestyle. Otherwise, again, you're going to be zombie fodder.
One
question. Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Dr. Prepper out there, give me a thumbs up. Is your name James T? Your last name start with T? James T, Dr. Prepper? Are you there, Dr. Prepper? Anyways, if you're James T, then contact me.
All right.
But, so, go ahead and ask your question. I'm sorry.
No, okay. This question says, how long, we may have already addressed it in the first hour, but how long do you think it will be before we reach the boiling point?
Look at the boiling point. I think boiling point has been reached a long time ago. What we're seeing is people now starting to take action on this. This guy who went and shot the congressman is just the tip of the iceberg. Again, go look at this, research this map of anti-Trump haters attacking people. And there's already over 200 something cases And those are the ones that were reported, not the ones that were not reported. So it's already happening now.
Well, yeah, the left has already been crashing town halls, and now we have bullets flying. So, when you talk about the normalization of evil, when you have a so-called play stabbing a president, and everybody said that's great, I think we've reached that point.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So what we need to be doing is amping up our situational awareness and being ready. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, but if you haven't prepped by now, then you're seriously behind the eight ball. And if something goes down tomorrow, then you're going to be hurting, you and your family. And now, if you're a Christian and you still haven't prepped and everything, then shame on you. Because, again, Scripture clearly says that we need to be prepared and we need to be ready and that we need to have our arcs in order so that we can share the hope. And if you're not doing that, then you're letting your family down. And like it or not, a lot of husbands, and I'm talking to the men out there, and they don't like to hear when I say this, is that, if you're not doing the right thing, then you're letting your family down, and, you need to get with the program.
You mentioned your parents are in the house now. Do they? And you've been prepping for some time. Are you the crazy prepper to the rest of your family, or do they think you're onto something and they're taking your tips and your advice?
It was interesting. They do listen to what I say. For the longest time, I've been the redheaded stepchild and things, but now that I'm on TV and I'm doing radio shows and things like this, and I'm writing, and then they're starting to see a lot of things that I've been warning against. It's like, oh wow, Ray, you wrote about this, 4 years ago. Oh my goodness. My family is starting to pay attention and stuff. In fact, it was interesting today. My mom bought some survival food and some of the berries and everything after I fed her the pancakes. And said, this stuff is good. I'm going to buy some. So she did a small order.
Sounds like she's eating the prepper goods, man. All right.
Well, yeah.
Well, let me ask something, Ray. How far down the family tree are you going? Because you mentioned family. I mean, are you talking, say in your compound, whether it be your house, wherever your survival goods are? Everybody down from aunts, uncles, or just your parents and your children, or who?
If my parents want to come join, they're more than welcome. If my kids, now interestingly enough, I've trained all my kids. My kids were raised with this stuff, and so my kids actually stock and prep and have survival food and everything. And the thing is, and this is why with Thrive Food, it's so good that all my kids use it in day-to-day cooking, and so it's part of their, it's what they were raised with, and so they wanted to continue that good eating, and so they naturally prepare.
Okay, what about your wife's brother? Is he getting?
She's an only child.
Okay, well, listen, I know that. Well, I don't even know that, but I'm just saying she got one now. Your wife's brother.
If family wants to come here and everything, they need to understand, one, if you're going to come here, you bring as much prep or anything that you can to help the situation as a whole.
You bring something to the table.
You pony up to the table and bring as much food as you can, meds if you can, anything that you can bring that will help us as a group, then you're welcome. But if you come empty-handed and you're expecting to be, just sit on your duff and do nothing, then you've got another thing coming. But if you're willing to come and at least help and pull guard and do all this other stuff, then again, you're going to be welcome. Again, the situation dictates. It's going to see who plays, who doesn't play. But like it or not,
you have the stones to say no.
Yes,
you say, hey, you've been mocking me this whole time. Go down to Walmart.
Well, being honest, if they've been mocking me the whole time, I'm still going to give them a chance because they're family, they're kin. And now, if they think they're going to come in and be the boss or something like that, then again, they got another thing coming. Meet Mr. Glock. My wife and I are the heads.
You're the gatekeepers. You guys are the gatekeepers.
We are the dictators. It is a dictatorship in this situation, and we are the dictators. And you cross us, then meet Mr. Glock.
Wow. Period. Man, a lot of people are going to be meet Mr. Glock. Hey, Mandy Thompson out of the live chat says, Ray, you're cool, man. She's going to call you directly. And what Mandy Thompson does, she schedules guests for a lot of programs. And so there you go. She'll be calling you. And I noticed here just recently you were on Jim Baker's program at Skywatch TV. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, that was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Jim Baker show should be airing next Tuesday, and I did 3 shows with that. Mm-hmm. And they're a hoot. They're cool people, man. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people that still give Jim Baker a hard time and everything, but this guy is so humble. He's paid the dues and everything, and people need to listen to what he's doing. He is a good hardcore prepper. He's sold out to it. He sees what's coming, and he's truly trying to help people. And people still give him grief over things that happened 30 years ago, mm-hmm. and won't forgive and forget. Yeah. And him and his wife Lori are outstanding people. The people at Skywatch are absolutely great. Derek and Sharon are awesome. Joe Horn is awesome. Josh and his wife Christina are awesome. I was on all those shows while I was there. Mm-hmm. I did 3 shows with Skywatch, 3 shows with Jim Baker. Mm-hmm. But they were all great shows, mm-hmm. and they're going to, it was awesome. I loved it. I want to do more, and I hope that I get invited back and everything.
Do the folks over there at Skywatch, the folks that you mentioned, do they, in general terms, subscribe to the prepper mentality?
Oh yeah, big time.
I mean, did they suggest to you or refer to you that they are in fact prepping, or they just like talk about it?
Well, they didn't. When you're in the prepper community and everything, you just talk at surface level. Mm-hmm. You really don't want to know information about each other and everything like that. Yeah. It's just
that's kind of why I thought Tom Horn put that in the Missouri Ozarks there. I thought it's because perhaps there was a location mentality for that. I don't know. Is that incorrect? Or
well, where they're located in Branson, I mean, it's a pretty, it's a hard place to get to, and they've got some they've got their acts together out there, and Tom and Cruz got everything going. And things, but yeah, all of them have a prepper mentality, but I don't know how individually set they are and everything, and I don't really want to ask because it's an embarrassing question. Hey, dude, how many years of food do you have?
I'll ask him.
So it's a none of your business. But also when you do ask someone that question, they could say, "Well, I only have 6 months." Mm-hmm. And that make them feel inferior, feel bad, and so forth, and it's kind of an embarrassment.
So preppers don't ask preppers what they got.
Not really, but we know that you just got it, and there's little sly ways of finding out. Hey, let's go to the gun range. Bring all your guns.
Uh-huh. Yeah, if they show up with a lot of guns and tons of ammo, they got a whole lot more going on, don't they?
Exactly, mm-hmm. and so. Or you could just talk about, prepper recipes. Mm-hmm. And that was something like I did on the Jim Baker show. They were talking about this bean burger mix and everything, and I gave them a tip on, well, if you take some hamburger, get some really cheap hamburger, and for 1 cup of bean burger mix to a half a pound of hamburger, mix the 2 together, and you've expanded your meal for the evening and not spent as much money, and it's also created even more flavor because you're using 30/70. So you're going to have a good fat content and everything, and a good tasting bean burger. Mm-hmm. So,
where you're at, are you in a suburb?
Yes, I am a suburb.
So there's going to be there's a close proximity to those who are not prepping. You sound like you might just be isolated alone. Do you have a generator?
No, not yet.
And when the lights go out, grid down, your generator comes on. They're going to hear that, aren't they?
I'm actually looking at an electric, a fuelless generator. Some of these electric, because I've lived off of solar before, I'm very familiar with that, and so I'm very pro solar, very pro alternative energy. Windmills. We have a creek in our backyard. I'm looking at the water flow here because we just moved here, so I'm still studying the terrain, studying the weather, studying all these things, and looking at alternative forms of energy. So that I don't have to run a generator or anything like that. I've even got an electric lawnmower. So, I mean,
wow.
I do a lot of things like that.
So I mean, so you're pretty confident when grid down situation, your location, you'll be able to, you're fortified and you've already scoped the area process.
We've only been back from Panama for 8 weeks now.
Wow.
So I'm still ramping up really hard. Mm-hmm. And now the nice thing is that we had a lot of supplies and everything left. Mm-hmm. When we left the U.S., we put a bunch of stuff in storage and had people hold on to it for us. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting everything. In fact, I just got another shipment of supplies in just a couple days ago. So we're getting our stuff back in and everything like that.
And why did you guys leave the U.S.?
Multiple reasons. One, I didn't like Obama. Two, I didn't like Obamacare, and I didn't want him taxing my money. And another thing is that our kids grew up, and my wife and I have always dreamed of opening up a taco stand on the beach. And we loved Central America. We both work on the internet, so why not do that? And God led us down there too. We go where God leads us, and we were down there, and we were used by God in multiple occasions. And I was very involved in my church, and just really, when we got down there, people knew who I was. And so the expats down there opened our arms to us, and we were able to minister to a lot of people and help a lot of people. So
if somebody's going to a church and they say to the pastor or the elders, whoever, say, I think, they always have their study groups, and forever, ever and ever and ever, they have like mountains of study programs and, 10-step programs. And say, if you suggest it, say, well, I want a 10-step, I want to start a 10-step group and announce it in the church bulletin. It says, how to survive the coming apocalypse or survive the next, an end time scenario. If they say no, we don't believe in fear here, would that be a church the person want to leave?
What I would do is, if it's the church that God has led me to, then there's people in that church that I'm to minister to. And what I would do is I would work to find out who I'm supposed to minister to. Because if I brought up the question and it's talked about publicly in church, people are going to come contact me. And so the thing is just throwing it out there and seeing what bites. And in today's world and everything, Christians, even if the pastor isn't interested in it, which many pastors are not, I've actually attended many churches where pastors are. But if they aren't, there's still parishioners that are, and people who are part of the congregation that is. So if anything, say, hey, listen, put up on the bulletin board, hey, I'm doing a How to Survive seminar at my house on Tuesday nights, and we're going to be talking about survival food and this and that and everything from a Christian perspective. Mm-hmm. And so even if it isn't church ordained or church sanctioned, it could be, you're still being useful in your church in one way or another.
I'm going to put that question out to the live chatters. Anybody in the live chat that has gone to a church, has anybody ever heard a message on prepping? Just put it in there. Tell me what you heard there. We'll try to pick that up, and Ray, who's looking at the live chat, will pick that up too as well. But I've never seen one in all churches, or I've ever heard of one in any church. And usually, I really don't understand how that you pay tithes into church, but you don't own part of the church. It seems like you should own some of the, some of that, but you don't. So
I was very fortunate when we lived in New Braunfels. I did go to church where the pastor was very pro preparedness and encouraged people to go out and stock up food and buy guns and everything and protect the family. Mm-hmm. When I was in Panama, when we lived in Panama, my pastor was very pro preparedness as well. Mm-hmm. And that's, I was one of the go-to people in church and helping people and, how can we help prepare? How can we do this, that, and the other? So I've been fortunate to find churches that are, and they are out there. You just have to find them.
I have your book, Survive the Coming Storm, in my background right now. What storm are you talking about there, Ray?
And, well, any storm. And that storm can be EMP attack. That storm can be economic disaster. That storm can be the pink slip. It's whatever storm will cause you and your family to go through some form of hardship. And if you have food, water, meds, and other gear and everything, going through that storm just seems a little bit easier than if you didn't. And so it could be any storm.
Then, of course, you mentioned in the first hour, and I've never heard that really, the pink slip storm. That's interesting there. That could happen for a lot of people. But this EMP thing, do you think that North Korea has an EMP?
No. I mean, they do have the technology and everything, but we are so on top of it that if they would be able to get through and do something, then that would be, that would be another 9/11 situation. I'm one of those truthers who think that 9/11 was a setup and not just a stroke of luck by, So I think it was an inside. It's an inside job.
Speaking of inside job, are you planning on watching the Megyn Kelly interview with Alex Jones?
I haven't seen it, but I did see Alex Jones's piece on it, and he just ripped Megyn Kelly, which I was glad to see. She is a lying trollop, and I hope NBC fires her. She is a liar. She is, she is not to be trusted, and I hope
she got blood coming out everywhere too.
Yeah, so I'm all kudos to Alex Jones for covering his backside.
That's kind of prepping right there. If you talk about prepping, he prepped for that interview, and and I think that did they already have the interview?
Yes, it was last weekend.
Oh, it was last weekend. Okay.
Yeah, it was last week, and that's why Alex Jones released his video.
All right, since I didn't see it, did she sabotage him?
Oh, she totally sabotaged him.
But she promised she wouldn't. I heard the tape. I did hear the Alex Jones. I heard the Alex Jones one just last night. He said she promised she wouldn't do that.
Yeah, she totally set him up, and it was a witch. It was a witch hunt. She interviewed him for 4 hours, and then totally took the interview out of context. Did some real fancy editing, even down to where they had the lights, lighting him. They lit him from below, which lighting from below will kind of make you look fat. I mean, he's kind of a heavyset guy, but he looked like a big old double chin and big puffy lips. They purposely made him. If you saw the pic, it didn't look like Alex Jones because it was piss poor lighting to make him look bad. I mean, everything was a setup. She totally set him up, totally lied to him, and I hope she fries.
Wow. All right. And that's a great way to end the show. Hoping Megyn Kelly fries. Ray Gano, we're at the end of the broadcast. Anything you'd like to say about your books, your website? Anything, you go right ahead.
Go to my website, become a PZ Insider, $10 a month, and you get all my newsletters. I send out a 30 to 40-page newsletter every Monday. I send out news. I send out survival news. I'm working on my Patreon channel for $1 a month. You can start training and getting some really inside information. I'm going to be doing some live chats with those, and people have a chance to get my phone number, call me, and talk to me, and everything like that. Have true access, because I'm wanting to train people. I want to start working with people. I believe God is raising up a group of people to start making a difference, and that's why I believe God brought us back to the United States, is to help make a difference and everything. So I'm all in it. I want to help. I want to help you any way I can, and we got a war to fight. And the enemy is organized, and we as Christians are kind of behind the 8 ball, and we need to get with the program.
That's right. And I see a lot of people in the live chat saying, thanks, Ray, great show. Appreciate you having on. Ray Gano, director of Prophecy Magazine. Can we have you back on the program again?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I love this. This is really awesome, Daniel. I appreciate the time. Appreciate the show. You got a great group of people. And Oak Hill Billy, I'm sorry if I came down on you a little bit. And then also Dr. Prepper Doug, I saw that. Thank you. But you got some great chat going on here. I was paying attention to this. You got a great group of folks. So it'd be an honor to come back.
Very good. All right, Ray Gano, we're going to let you go, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye, Bibles.
All right. Bye. All right, everybody. That was Ray Gano talking about how to prepare spiritually and physically for the coming storm. What storm do you think may come? We'll have to just wait and see. And see, I guess everybody has a storm in their life at some point or another, but it could be a worldwide cataclysmic storm, or it could be a personal storm. But I think the thing to do is to prepare. That's the key word. If we have a guest on the program you'd like to see, drop me a line at edgeam@yahoo.com. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, this program is simulcasting on our TuneIn radio station, which broadcasts across any device, any platform. And that is it. I appreciate everybody in the live chat and all your great questions. Salute to everyone. And thank you for being so nice to Ray as he was being on the program. It was he thoroughly enjoyed, which we're happy about that. Daniel Ott for The Edge. Bye-bye.